Hello students, I'm Sai Baba here. So this is the second class in thermodynamics. In the first class, that is the previous class in thermodynamics, I have discussed about zeroth law of thermodynamics and the term specific heat capacity and molar specific heat and relation between molar specific heat and ordinary specific heat. So in this class, I am going to continue the discussion. I am going to discuss the term mechanical equivalent of heat. I am also going to discuss about the term internal energy and also about the work done by a gas when its volume changes. So many examples you come across even in daily life where mechanical energy or work gets transferred into heat energy. For example, when a fast moving bullet is suddenly stopped, all the kinetic energy lost by the bullet, that is the mechanical energy lost, gets converted, most of it, into heat energy. So if W is the mechanical work or energy which gets transformed into heat, and W is expressed in terms of units of work, and Q is a quantity of heat generated. For example, when a fast moving bullet is suddenly stopped, W is the kinetic energy lost by the bullet when it is suddenly stopped, and Q is the equivalent amount of heat produced. We can definitely say that if Q is express units of heat and W is express units of work, Q is proportional to W. And if a body is dropped from certain height above a horizontal floor, as the body falls under gravity, the decrease in the gravitational potential energy first changes into kinetic energy. So if the body, that means the decrease in the gravitational potential energy changes into kinetic energy, and kinetic energy will be maxed at the instant just before the body strikes the ground. So if the body stops after striking the ground, all the kinetic energy lost and mechanical energy lost, most of it gets converted into heat energy. So the quantity of heat produced is proportional to the amount of mechanical energy lost in all such cases. So in general, that W denotes the amount of mechanical work or mechanical energy which is converted or transformed into heat energy, which is expressed in units of work. And Q is the equivalent amount of heat energy produced expressed in calories or units of heat. Then we can write Q is proportional to W, or we write W equal to a constant denoted by capital J into Q. So capital J is a constant which is called as mechanical equivalent of heat. All of you just concentrate to listen. Don't write running notes when I am explaining. So I will tell you when you can write the notes, when I show you the PowerPoint presentation or typed form of the notes. W is called mechanical equivalent of heat. The value of J is found. J is called mechanical equivalent of heat. J is called as a mechanical equivalent of heat. Capital J is called as the mechanical equivalent of heat, which is found experimentally. The value of capital J is found experimentally. Actually, there is an experiment to determine the mechanical equivalent of heat, which is discussed in the school textbooks in the past. And same experiment used to be there even in the practical classes in intermediate in the past. So J, value of J is found experimentally here. The value of J is numerically equal to the amount of work to be done to produce 1 calorie of heat. Suppose if W is expressed in ergs and Q is expressed in calories, then J will be equal to 4.186 into 10 to the power of 7 ergs per calorie. So W and Q both represent the same energy. W expressed in units of work, Q expressed in units of heat. Suppose if W is expressed in SI units, that is in joule, and Q is expressed in calories, then the mechanical equivalent of heat can be written as J can be written as 4.186 joule per calorie. 4.186 joule per calorie. But most of the problems in objective type paper is usually given as 4.2 joule per calorie, approximately. But when you strictly follow SI system of units, that means if W and Q both are expressed in SI system in joule, then no, that means J represents a conversion factor here to convert the units of heat into units of work. So if both W and Q are expressed the same units, that is in SI system in joule, then J can be taken as equal to 1. Then W can be written as equal to Q. So therefore, look at the discussion I have done. Now I am showing the notes for the same which I have discussed now. Those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes which I am showing on the screen. Mechanical equivalent of heat. If capital W represents the mechanical work or energy which is transformed into heat, and capital Q represents the equivalent amount of heat energy produced, then W is proportional to Q, or we can write W equal to JQ, where capital J is the constant called the mechanical equivalent of heat. So if capital W is expressed in ergs and Q is expressed in calorie, then J can be written as 4.186 into 10 to the power of 7 ergs per calorie. So those who want to copy the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So if W is expressed in joules and Q is expressed in calorie, then J equals 4.186 joule per calorie, which is approximately taken as 4.2 joule per calorie. Both W and Q are expressed in SI unit joule, then J equal to 1. That is W equal to Q we write. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. Next, I would like to specifically discuss about specific heat of water, which I discussed in the previous class, but I would like to show you the notes for the same discussion, which I have done in the previous class. Specific heat capacity of water. So if you draw a graph showing the variation of specific heat capacity of water with variation of temperature, you get a graph as shown in the figure. That means along y-axis, specific heat of water expressed in calorie per gram per degree centigrade, along x-axis temperature in degree centigrade. That means specific heat of water has a value of 1.008 calorie per gram per degree centigrade at 0 degree centigrade, and it becomes almost equal to 1. Actually, specific heat of water becomes equal to 1. More precisely speaking, at a particular temperature, not exactly 20, it will be between 14 degrees centigrade to 15 degrees centigrade. That's why specific heat of water taken as 1 calorie per gram per degree centigrade, most of the problems, of course, unless we are specifically given the value in the problem. So 1 calorie is defined as the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water from 14.5 degrees centigrade to 15.5 degrees centigrade. So next I am going to show you the standard definition of calorie on the screen. Those who want to copy this graph, they can take a pause and copy the graph. It's given in the textbooks also. So 1 calorie is defined as the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water from 14.5 degrees centigrade to 15.5 degrees centigrade. Those who want to copy the notes, please finish, take a pause and finish writing the notes still here. I would like to show the contribution to this. So ordinary specific heat of water, we write it as 1 calorie per gram per degree centigrade in the CGS system. Suppose if you take it as 1 calorie, you can take it as 4.186 joules, and 1 gram equal to 10 power minus 3 kg. So you can write it as 4.186 into 10 cube joule per kg per degree centigrade. Of course, increase in temperature or change in temperature on centigrade scale numerically same as change in temperature on Kelvin scale. So which you can write, therefore, ordinary specific heat of water in SI system, we can write 4.186 in 10 cube joule per kg per degree Kelvin. Suppose if J is given as 4.2 joule per calorie, then specific heat of water, 1 calorie you can write it as 4.2 joules in that case. 1 gram is 10 power minus 3 kg. Change in temperature on Kelvin scale numerically same as change in temperature on centigrade scale. It makes no difference whether you write per degree centigrade or per degree Kelvin in the denominator. So you can write ordinary specific heat of water in SI system as 4.2 10 cube joule per kg per degree Kelvin. In case the mechanical equivalent of heat is mentioned as 4.2 joule per calorie. So molar specific heat of water denoted by CW represents the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of 1 mole of water by 1 degree centigrade. So 1 gram molar mass of water, as you study in chemistry also, 18 gram per mole. So 1 gram mole of water will have a mass of 18 grams. So if specific heat of water is given as 1 calorie per gram per degree centigrade, it means to increase the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree centigrade, we require an amount of heat equal to 1 calorie. So the amount of heat required to increase the temperature of 18 grams of water by 1 degree centigrade will be 18 calories. That means the amount of heat required to increase the temperature of 18 grams of water means 1 gram mole of water by 1 degree 18 calories. Therefore, molar specific heat of water is written as 18 calorie per mole per degree centigrade. If you divide the molar specific heat of water with ordinary specific heat of water, molar specific heat of water is 18 calorie per mole per degree centigrade. Ordinary specific heat of water is 1 calorie per gram per degree centigrade. Yet 18 gram per mole, which represents the molar mass. That means the ratio of the molar specific heat of water to the ordinary specific heat of water gives you the molar mass or molecular weight of water. So in general, the molar specific heat of a substance is equal to the product of the ordinary specific heat and the molar mass of the substance. So those who want to copy the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. Those who want to copy the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So next I am going to discuss about the internal energy of a system. Please stop writing again, concentrate to listen. You can write the notes later. So internal energy of a system represents the total stored energy in system. That means the energy of system is sum of the kinetic and potential energies of all the molecules of the system. So interactive system is sum of the energies of all the forms of energy of all the molecules of system. So interenergy of a solid or liquid includes some of the potential energy of the molecule due to what attraction between the molecules, and also it is the sum of the vibrational kinetic energy of the molecules. But most of the discussion we are going to do in thermodynamics, most of the problems and examples we are going to discuss in thermodynamics are related to the gases. So as I have discussed in the past in kinetic theory of gases about the assumptions of kinetic theory. So according to the postulates of kinetic theory, there are no intermolecular forces of attraction or repulsion between the molecules of an ideal gas. That means there is the molecules of gas do not possess any potential energy due to attraction. Whereas there exists some attraction. There exists attraction between the molecules of liquid, and there is also will be also attraction between the molecules of a solid. So there is no the intermolecular force of attraction between the molecules of an ideal gas is assumed to be negligible. For ideal gas, we assume that there are no intermolecular force of attraction between the molecules of an ideal gas. So therefore, we conclude that the molecules of an ideal gas do not possess any potential energy due to the attraction between the molecules. As effect of gravity, even according to the kinetic theory, the effect of gravity on the molecules of ideal gas is negligible. Therefore, the gravitational potential energy of the molecules of ideal gas can be neglected compared to the kinetic energy of the molecules of the gas. Therefore, total internal energy of an ideal gas, of a given mass of an ideal gas, simply taken as equal to sum of the kinetic energies of all the molecules of the gas. The internal energy of an ideal gas, of a fixed mass of an ideal gas, simply sum of the kinetic energies of all the molecules of gas. As I have discussed in the kinetic theory of gases, that the average translational kinetic energy per molecule of an ideal gas at temperature T, 3 by 2 kb into T. Kb is the constant called the Boltzmann's constant. So the average translational kinetic energy per mole of a gas is equal to average translational kinetic energy per molecule into number of molecules in 1 mole called denoted by Avogadro number. That will be 3 by 2 RT. So you can say that, of course, later, I mean, it is as discussed in the kinetic theory of gas, how do we calculate the internal energy of gas. So internal energy of 1 mole of an ideal, I mean, monoatomic gas, which molecules of monoatomic gas are assumed to be having only translational kinetic. So the internal energy of 1 mole of a monoatomic gas is at temperature T can be taken as 3 by 2 RT. Therefore, internal energy of fixed mass of an ideal gas with a given atomicity is directly proportional to the temperature of the gas. Therefore, change in the internal energy of a fixed mass of an ideal gas in any process or change depends only on the change in the temperature of the gas, but does not depend on the process or method used to change the temperature of gas. For example, you consider a monoatomic gas. Of course, I have discussed the calculation of internal energy of diatomic gas, calculation of internal energy of monoatomic gas, etc. in the chapter kinetic theory of gases. You can refer to that chapter for calculation of internal energy. So internal energy, of course, this equation calculation is discussed in kinetic theory of gases, not in this chapter. So internal energy of 1 mole of a monoatomic gas at temperature T can write 3 by 2 RT. So internal energy for new moles of a monatomic gas, the internal energy can write 3 by 2 nu RT. Suppose if a monatomic gas is first heated, keeping the volume of the gas constant, so that its temperature increases by some amount delta T. Let us suppose delta T equal to, for example, 3 degree centigrade or 3 degree Kelvin. Next, same gas is heated at constant pressure. So the temperature again changes by same amount 3 degree Kelvin or 3 degree centigrade. Next, the same gas undergoes some other process, say an adiabatic process. So that again temperature changes by the same amount 3 degree Kelvin or 3 degree centigrade. Again, the gas may undergo its fourth process. So in all the cases, we have change in temperature is seen. In all the cases, same gas and same mass is considered, same mass of same gas. So change in energy of one of the monatomic gas in any process and temperature changes by delta T, you can write 3 by 2 nu R delta T, where nu is the quantity of the gas expressed in mole. R is the molar gas constant. That means change in energy of the gas will be same in all the three cases I mentioned. The gas is first heated at constant volume. Next, it is heated at constant pressure. Next, it undergoes an adiabatic process. What is an adiabatic process will be discussed later, separately. You must be having an idea, but still it will be discussed separately in another class. So, what I would like to mention is that change in energy fixed mass of an ideal gas with a given atomicity depends on change in the temperature of gas, but does not depend on the process or method or means used to change the temperature gas. So for a fixed mass of a given ideal gas with a given atomicity, if change in temperature is seen in two different processes or two different changes, then change in energy will also be the same. So energy is a function of the state of the system. Energy is independent of the path or process which a system undergoes to arrive at a particular state. Now look at the notes. Those who are writing the notes, they can get ready with their notebook and pen. I'm going to summarize the discussion about the internal energy which I have just discussed now. I'm going to show you the notes for the same discussion. The internal energy is associated with microscopic mechanical energy. For example, the internal energy of an actual gas is the sum of the kinetic and potential energies of its molecules. The molecules of an ideal gas do not possess potential energy, as there are no intermolecular forces of attraction. And effect of gravity is negligible on molecules of ideal gas. So the internal energy of an ideal gas is sum of the kinetic energies of its molecules. The change in the energy of fixed mass of an ideal gas with a given atomicity depends only on the change in the temperature of the gas, but does not depend on the process or method used to change the temperature. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes till here. I'm going to show you the continuation like this. So next I am going to discuss about the work done with the gas. You again stop writing, just concentrate to listen. I'll show you the notes later. So next I am going to discuss about work done by a gas. Let us consider the gas contained in a cylinder with uniform area of cross section A, provided with a smooth, frictionless movable piston. If P is the pressure of the gas, instantaneous pressure of the gas, then the pressure is defined as the force per unit area, as you study in the lower classes. Therefore, force exerted by the gas Just concentrate to listen here. Force exerted by gas on piston. The force exerted by the gas on the piston can be written as product of pressure of the gas in the area of piston. So when the gas undergoes an infinitesimally small change in the volume, that is when the piston moves by infinitesimally small distance, denoted by ds or dx, you may assume that pressure of the gas is nearly constant. Further small change in volume or infinitesimally small change in the volume, then the force by the gas on piston acts in the direction of displacement of piston, then work done by the force will be positive. So let dW denote work done by the gas on piston. When the piston moves infinitesimally small displacement or distance ds in the direction of this force, let me write F into ds. F can write pressure into area. So product of area of cross section of the piston and displacement of the piston or change in the length of the gas column. If L is the length of the initial length of the gas column, the final length of the gas column is L plus ds. So initial volume of the gas is A into L. Final volume of the gas is V plus dV. That we can write A into L plus ds. That means A into ds gives you the change in the volume. An infinitesimally small change in the volume of the gas denoted by dV. So work done by the gas on the piston, then the volume changes by infinitesimally small amount dV, starting at an initial pressure P, is given by dW equal to PdV. So this is a general expression or equation we write for calculation of work done by the gas in any process. So work done by a gas when the volume changes from V to V plus dV by infinitesimally small amount dV, starting with initial pressure P, is given by dW equal to PdV. That means here we assume the pressure to be nearly constant when the volume changes from V to V plus dV. So during the expansion of the gas, the force by gas on piston acts in the direction of displacement. So work done by the gas on piston is positive. In case some of the problems, the gas in the cylinder may be compressed by applying a compressing force on the piston. So a compressing agent may apply a compressing force on the piston. So in that case, the displacement of the piston is towards left side, suppose. But force by gas on piston will be towards right. The force by gas on piston will be towards right. That means the force by gas on piston acts opposite to the displacement of piston. As we discussed earlier in work power height, if the force acts opposite the direction of the displacement, work done by the force will be negative. So when the gas in the cylinder is compressed, of course, work done by the compressing agent or work done by the compressing force on the piston is positive because the compressing force on the piston is in the direction of displacement of piston. But work done by the gas on the piston will be negative when the volume of the gas decreases, because the force by gas on piston in this case acts opposite displacement of piston. Of course, if you apply work energy theorem, change in the kinetic energy of the piston is equal to total work done by all the forces, that is work done by the gas plus work done by the compressing agent on the piston in the figure on the left side. But if the gas is compressed very, very slowly, infinitesimally slowly, so the change in kinetic energy is negligible. In that case, work done by the gas on piston will be negative of work done on the piston by the compressing agent. So in general, when the volume of a gas contained, when the volume fixed mass of a gas contained in a closed vessel increases or during expansion of the gas, dV is positive, dW is positive. The gas in a cylinder is compressed, or gas in any closed vessel, fixed mass of gas contained in a closed vessel is compressed. When the volume of the gas decreases, dV is negative, dW is negative. So during the expansion of the gas, work done by the gas is positive. During the compression of the gas, work done by the gas on surroundings is negative. Work done by the gas means work done by the force exerted by the gas on the piston or on the surroundings will be negative. But in the equation we are going to write for first law of thermodynamics, dW represents work done by the system or by the gas. In case we are applying the first law of thermodynamics for a gas. So therefore, work done by the gas on the piston or surroundings when the volume of the gas changes by infinitesimally small amount dV at pressure P is given by dW equal PdV. But pressure may not remain constant in every process. So you can draw a graph showing the variation of pressure with volume in any process, which we call indicator diagram. So this diagram in which we show the variation of pressure of the gas with change in the volume, we call indicator diagram. Let us consider some arbitrary process where pressure may or may not remain constant. Let I denote the represent the initial state in the indicator diagram, and F denote the final state of the gas in the indicator diagram. The volume of the gas in the initial state is usually denoted by V subscript I or V1. The volume of the gas in the final state is denoted by V subscript F or V2. So as I discussed, let P denote the pressure of the gas when its volume is V. And dV represent an infinitesimally small change in the volume. So when the volume changes from V to V plus dV, starting at initial pressure P, the work done by the gas is given by dW equal PdV. You can observe that PdV in the graph represents the area of the small elementary rectangle with length equal to pressure P of the gas at volume V, and breadth of the rectangle is equal to the dV, which represents infinitesimal small change in the volume. So PdV equal dW can be taken as equal to area of the small elementary rectangle, which I have shown shaded, blackened, with length equal to pressure P, breadth equal to dV, change in volume. So to calculate the total work done by the gas in any process when its volume changes from Vi to Vf, can imagine that this entire area below the PV curve and volume axis to be divided into very large number of similar small elementary rectangles. So total work done by the gas simply equals sum of the areas of all those elementary rectangles with volume changing from V to Vi to V equal to Vf. Therefore, total work done by the gas when its volume changes in any process can be calculated by calculating the area under the PV curve or indicator diagram and volume axis between the initial state and final state. There is a continuous summation of areas of large number of elementary rectangles done by the method of integration. Therefore, in general, work done by the gas when its volume changes from V equal to Vi to V equal to Vf in any process is given by W equal to integral dW or W equal to integral PdV. Lower limit of integration is written as Vi, upper limit as Vf. That is nothing but equal to the total area under the PV curve and volume axis between the initial and final states. So this is the general equation we use for calculation of work done by the gas in any process when its volume changes. So in any process, whether it is isothermal expansion or isobaric expansion or adiabatic expansion or any expansion of the gas, when the volume of the gas increases, you can say that work done by the gas on piston or work done by the gas on surroundings is positive. When the volume of the gas, volume fixed mass of gas decreases, about ideal gas. Whenever I say gas, I mean ideal gas here in the present discussion. The volume of the gas decreases during the compression of the gas, work done by the gas on the piston or surroundings is negative. So now I am going to show you the summary of the discussion I have done about work done by the gas. Those who are writing the notes, again get ready with your notebook and pen. So look at the notes here. I am going to read the notes. Consider a gas contained in a cylinder of cross-sectional area capital A, fitted with a movable piston. P is the pressure of the gas, then the work done of the gas when the volume of the gas changes by infinitesimally small amount dV is given by dW equal to force by gas and piston multiplied by displacement of piston. Come on, those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to this equation. So I am going to show the continuation to this. So as I explained, force by gas and piston can be written as pressure into area of cross section of the piston. So P into A, displacement of piston is denoted by ds. So dW can be written as PA ds or dW equal to PdV, where dV equal to ADS. The area under the PV diagram and the volume axis gives the work done by the gas in the process. The work done by the gas when the volume of the gas changes from Vi to Vf is given by W equal to integral dW, V equal to Vi to V equal to Vf, or W equal to integral PdV, V equal to Vi to V equal to Vf. Those who want to copy the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes here, up to here. This is general method to calculate the work. So next I am going to discuss the term specific heats for a gas. So next I am going to discuss about specific heats of a gas. See, a solid will have a definite value of specific heat, at least for a small range of temperatures. Even a liquid will have a definite value of specific heat, at least for a given range of temperature, given small range of temperatures. A liquid can also be assumed to have a definite value of specific heat at a given temperature and pressure. But gas will not have, a particular gas will not have a specific fixed value of specific heat at a given temperature. The specific heat of a gas depends on the process or changes which the gas undergoes. So the same gas can have different values of specific heat, different processes. But in my earlier class, I have discussed the term specific heat in a general way. So in general, when the temperature of a system changes by infinitesimally small amount dt, the quantity of heat energy absorbed or gained by substance when the temperature increases by infinite small amount dt can be written small m into small c into dt, or you can write mu into capital C into dt. Where small m is the mass of the substance, small c is ordinary specific heat or specific heat capacity. dt is the change in the temperature. So dq represents the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of the substance by infinitesimally small amount dt. And if the specific heat is expressed per unit mass, it is called the ordinary specific heat denoted by small c or s. The ordinary specific heat is numerically equal to the quantity of heat energy required to increase the temperature of unit mass of the substance by 1 degree Kelvin or 1 degree centigrade. Ordinary specific heat also we call specific heat capacity. Capital C represents the molar specific heat. So the molar specific heat of the substance is numerically equal to the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of the 1 mole of substance by 1 degree Kelvin or 1 degree centigrade. Here nu represents the quantity of substance expressed in mole per mole. Molar specific heat of a substance can be the product of molar mass or molecular weight of substance and ordinary specific heat. This part I discussed in the past. So specific heat, molar specific heat in any process can be the dq of a substance. In general, we can write capital C equal dq by nu C dt. So I am talking about now specific heat for a gas. For example, later we will discuss the different types of processes, but you might have heard about these terms: isothermal process, adiabatic process. In isothermal process, temperature remains constant. Please don't write running note, just concentrate to listen. Or change in temperature dt will be 0. So specific heat of the gas at constant temperature we denote by C subscript T. dq by nu into 0 or infinity. So theoretically speaking, the molar specific heat of a gas in isothermal process is infinity. The gas undergoes changes in pressure, volume and temperature such that it does not absorb any heat from surroundings. At the same time does not give out any heat to the surroundings. That is called adiabatic process. Because I specifically discuss about isothermal process and adiabatic process in more detailed way in my next classes. I am just discussing the specific heats of gas. So in adiabatic process dq is 0. So molar specific heat of the gas in the adiabatic process will be 0. So what I would like to tell you is that a gas will not have a definite value specific heat at a given temperature. Unlike solid, the solid will have definite value specific heat at a given temperature. Even a liquid will have a definite value specific heat at a given temperature. But specific heat for a gas depends on the changes or process the gas undergoes. So if there is one question I found in one of the books in the past, how many types of specific heat the gas can have? Many students say the gas can have 2 types of specific heats. Specific heat at constant volume, specific heat at constant pressure. Of course, these 2 specific heats are more important. But what is the total number of specific heats which a gas can have? If you are asked this question, what is the total number of specific heat which a gas, types of specific heat which a gas can have? Your answer should be infinity. A gas can have infinite values of specific heats depending on the types of process or types of changes which the gas is undergoing. In isothermal process, specific heat is infinity. In adiabatic process, it is 0. That means the gas, specific heat of a gas can be anything from 0 to anything from between 0 to infinity, depending on the process or changes it undergoes. But 2 specific heats are more important in our discussion for our board exams and other entrance exams. One is specific heat at constant volume, and other is the specific heat at constant pressure. So there are mainly 2 specific heats which are important for gases. One is specific heat at constant volume because it is needed for calculative interaction with the gas. The other is specific heat at constant pressure. So if the volume of a gas is kept constant, suppose the gas is taken a rigid container, whose volume can be practically assumed to be constant, and the volume of the gas can be assumed to be constant. So the specific heat of the gas, when the gas is present in the rigid container, can be taken as the specific heat at constant volume. So volume of the gas is taken as equal to volume of the container, which can be assumed to be constant. It is given that the given problem that the gas is contained rigid container. Here also we take the specific heat, molar specific heat and ordinary specific heat. The molar specific heat of the gas at constant volume is denoted by capital C subscript capital V, which is numerically equal to the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of 1 mole of the gas by 1 degree centigrade, keeping the volume of the gas constant. If molar specific heat at constant volume is expressed in calorie per mole per degree centigrade, if molar specific heat at constant volume is CV calorie per mole per degree centigrade, it means the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of 1 mole of the gas by 1 degree centigrade, keeping the volume of the gas constant is CV calories. So the amount of heat energy required to increase the temperature of new moles of the gas by 1 degree centigrade, which we call heat capacity, will be new CV calories. So the amount of heat energy absorbed by new moles of the gas when the temperature of the gas changes by dt at constant volume can be written as new CV dt at constant volume. Heat energy absorbed by the gas when it is heated at constant volume denoted by dq subscript p. So I will continue my discussion in my next class.